Good afternoon, drivers. This is Tim Stratton with Fleetmatics, here to train you on the new ELD compliant logbook app. You're going to notice right away from my screen, right in front of my wife, but you're going to see the new app here is going to be a dark blue app. And in the App Store, it will be a new version of it. So there's going to be the old version, which is just logbook, and then there's going to be the ELD compliant logbook, which is this color. The old one is like kind of a white and bluish color. This one is strictly a navy color. So similar to how you did and how you use the AOBRD version, you are going to tap on the app, and I'm doing this on my phone right now. So, and I'm logged in as our CS customer success demo account. So what I'm going to do is just enter my simple address, and you're going to get the same screens that you would as before. So you're going to log in, use your same username and password as you have with the old version. It's going to ask you to do the same thing like when you first sign in, is to connect to a vehicle. Now, obviously, if you notice in the top right corner, my truck is red, so that means I'm not connected to a vehicle. So what I am going to do is actually, now that you've seen this version, I'm going to go over to our, let me just move this screen up a little bit so you guys can see. And let me move it up. All right, I apologize, it's supposed to move up. There we go, okay. So similar to what we have, you're going to have the same buttons down here, and your dashboard's going to be very similar. But what is going to be slightly different on this version, guys, is you're going to have a couple different variations. You're going to have, under the off-duty status, you are going to have, if I tap on the off-duty status, you are going to see an option for personal use. So you still have your options for cycle reset, daily reset, 30-minute break. Here's your split break if that was applicable. And then personal use. So if you are going to use those vehicles outside of work, we will not allow we won't count that drive time towards your hours of service time. So, but we have to make sure that you're logged in and connected to the vehicle, and then that you are in the personal use option. The same is going to happen here, where your location is going to auto-populate because you're connected to the vehicle. And if you wanted to enter a comment underneath, so for my example, I would have to type in something since I'm connected to a fake vehicle. So I'm in Chicago. I'm going to get food, say getting dinner. Okay, once I'm done with that, I would confirm my status if I'm in personal use. And I'm not counting, so the daily driving, it's not going to happen, but I'm using it for personal use. So that's going to be one of the big changes that you're going to see. Another change is now that I'm in the on-duty status, and this is big for your company, is that you're going to have the option for yard moves. Now this is very important because a lot of what your company does, and from what I've been explained to by your customer success manager, Bernard, is that if you guys are off-road or off-site, or if you're on a project site, and your vehicle moves more than 5 miles an hour at a particular time, technically the app is supposed to kick you into on-duty driving. But if you're moving that vehicle around a project site, or if you're not on a federal or state road, it shouldn't count towards your hours of service drive time. So what you would want to do in that scenario, let's say for an example, we get to a job site, you tracked your hours of duty driving, you were driving, you get to the job site, you want to click from driving to on duty, and we want to go to yard moves. And here, your location would auto-populate, but because I'm not connected to a real vehicle, and then you don't really have to necessarily enter a comment, and I'm going to confirm my status. Oh, I guess I do have to enter one. All right, you could say project site. This is just an example, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my project site. So for this particular yard move, I'm moving my vehicle around this project site. Doesn't have to count towards my hours of service. So It's going to be a big change from what you had before. Before you had your options here where you had the no substatus, the fueling, the inspection mode, loading and unloading. Those are all going to remain the same, except the addition is going to be the yard move option. So like I said, this is going to be really important for you guys that we don't count that drive time towards your hours of service if you legally do not have to. So that's going to be one of the big changes here. So for this one, I'm just going to hit confirm. So as you can see, sorry about that, my hours of service are still going to be kept track of, but my daily driving, so if I start driving right now, it's not going to count towards my daily driving limit because I'm in the yard move option. Here's my cycle on duty, so my clock, you know, my glorified time clocks, right, on steroids, they're still going to be working, right? But the drive time's not going to count towards my hours of service drive time total. So what's going to be another change too is that up here there's a little bell button, and you're going to see the number 8 that's there. If I tap on that, this is your notifications. So you're going to have two different options, and I'm looking at this on a phone. So if you have a tablet, you're just going to get a little wider version of it. So right now I've got some notifications here. Customer Success ELD demo. If you drive now, you will reach your cycle on duty violation of 70 hours. So this was from February 7th. So apparently when I logged in and out of the app, you know, showing people the app, I forgot to log out and disconnect from the vehicle. So these are just the warnings that you're going to see here. So there's a ton of warnings here. I also have a violation here. So a 30-minute break violation has occurred. So with that being said, these are your notification tabs. What you're also going to get is what we call uncertified logs. And this is what's going to be another change to you guys that's going to be slightly different than the AOBRD option. And I just wanted to show you kind of a page of what the uncertified logs looks like. But for the time being, I'm going to close this page and show you. We're going to go back on duty. And I'm going to put no substatus just because I want to go through the logs and confirm my status. So now my timers are back. And what I wanted to do is show everyone the logs page, because this is going to be another change that you're going to see to the app. That before, when you got, if you did get pulled over, or the officer wanted to look at the AOBRD option of the tablet or phone, the officer could go back and hit the back button on the dates and look back past the legally allowed 7 days. If you are in the driver mode, you can go back as far as you can, or as far as you want. So if I want to select, let's say, December, let's see, what is it going to let me go back to? Let's go back a month. I'm going to go back and, oops, I'm going to hit change. I want to look at my log for that day. Great. So there's my log for the day. I can scroll through and look at my log. Apparently I was on duty, never went off duty. The events and stops are going to be here. So you're going to have your graph view. You're going to have your events and stops, and this is where the logs would be for all of the different status changes. Now apparently this is a horrible example because I don't have any events or stops for this day. Let's go back to February 13th. So as you can see, for today's date, you can see I went on duty, I did a yard move, and I also had personal use. So you can see all of these, and you can see the locations. Now I do have the ability to come in here and edit these as a driver. On the AOBRD option, you did not have the option to edit, where you do on this version. So if I wanted to edit, I'd hit the drop down. If I want to edit, I can add a trailer, I can add a shipping reference. If I need to change my status here, if I need to say I'm fueling, inspection, loading, or unloading, I can do that there. Address, or you cannot add driving time, but you can change the status to off duty, sleeper berth, or on duty. So then if I wanted to save it, I would just tap save, and then I could edit the event. For this example, I'm just going to X out of this. Under the driver information, this is vitally important here that we're working with your admins right now to make sure that we have all of your pertinent information uploaded into the account. So as you can see down as we look through, here's the name. So this would be your name here, your DOT number, the time zone that you're located in. And this is important because we want to make sure that if you're located in a different time zone other than the corporate time zone, that and your hub or terminal is based in a separate time zone, let's say Chicago for the example, that this would say Central Standard Time. Your license number and your license state. Now it's part of the ELD mandate that we collect your driver's license information. So that way if the DOT officer pulls you over, all he has to do is go to this driver tab and he'll be able to see all of the pertinent information here. So as you can see. What's another big change here is that you're still going to have the same timers up here, but a big change here is that when an officer, let's say you get pulled over, if you're at a weigh station, whatever the case may be, and you have to encounter somebody from the DOT. Before, when you gave them your device, like I said, they could go back and look at previous days, past the 7 days. So even though legally they're not supposed to be doing that, they could. This version now has what we call the lockdown mode. So this badge right here, so if you get pulled over by a DOT officer and they want to look at your logs, we want you to go to your logs page here and we want you to tap on the badge button. The badge button is going to enter it into the lockdown mode. So now the officer only has the ability, if I go up here, I can only go back. You see, if you notice, I can only go back 7 days. If I try to go back to February 4th, I'm not allowed to. So as you can see, all of those are shaded. So now the officer can only go back to what's legally allowed to view. So this is important. They can look at your events and stops. They can look at your graph. If the officer tries to, excuse me, go into or go further back than what's legally allowed, if they try to turn off the badge and they hit the badge button, it automatically locks the app down. And this is important because, like I said, we are protecting you and we are protecting the company. So that, you know, even though what's legally required, you might run into a DOT officer that's not having the best of days, and they might try to go back, 9 days, 10 days, to find a violation. So it's vitally important that we make sure we hit the lock button. But if you notice, if they try to go back any further, like I tried to unlock it just now, and it locked the screen down to enter the password. So if you get this, if the officer hands your device back to you and you see this screen pop up, you're going to see that he or she was trying to go back further than what they were legally allowed to. So all you have to do is enter your password, hit unlock, and now your version of what you see is here. So this is where you can go back further. You can go back and look. So remember, on the lockdown screen, I can only go back to the 5th. But because it's unlocked, I can go back further because I'm the driver. So that's very important. That's a big change from the AOBRD version to the ELD version. So I want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Now, you're going to notice the certify button up here too. This is, we want to certify the day. So let's say I want to go back to February, let's go to February 6th as an example. Not a whole lot going on there, but you know what? I need to certify that day, so I'm going to just tap on the certify button. So I tapped here. And this next page, or this next little screen that pops up, it says, I hereby certify that my data entries and my record of duty status for this 24-hour period are true and correct. You don't have to try and, if you're like me and have fat fingers, you don't have to try and sign in that little box. You just got to hit agree. Excuse me. And now your logs for February 5th, 2018 are now signed and officially recorded. And as you notice, it now says certified for this particular day. You also might notice that the number 8 that was in this red circle up here went down to 7. So going back to that, if I tap on the notifications tab, or the bell, I see all these notifications, all right, these are great. I could actually just remove a lot of these if I know they're old. I could just hit the X button on a lot of these, or the trash can button. But if you go over to the uncertified logs, these are the days that are uncertified. So you can do one of two things. You can review the log, or you can sign the log. So for this example, I'll just do, you know what, I know February 5th, I'm good. I'm going to hit agree. That day is signed, and if you notice, February 5th disappears. So you don't have to worry about signing it again. But February 7th, you know what, something seemed wrong on that day. I'm going to take a look at it. Check out the events and stops. I don't see anything. If you had any events and stops here, you could edit these here. But you know what, I just wanted to make sure that the day was correct. Let me scan over, make sure I wasn't working. Just want to make sure nothing was up with the app. I can go ahead and tap the certify button here. So now I know it's good. February 6th is now certified. Or excuse me, 7th, whichever one it is. So, excuse me. If I want to go back and you notice my notifications tab went down again to 5. Now I need, if I want to certify any more days, I can do that. So for this example, I'll certify the 12th, then I'm done. Same here, done. So I'm certifying all these days so that they're done. Now there is one thing that is going to be different. In the AOBRD version of the app and within the website, the admins had the ability to edit your logs without any input from you. This version, per the ELD mandate, if the admin does enter a change, you do have to certify your days first. You'd have to certify the log. Even though you know it's incorrect, you'd still have to hit certify. And the reason why is because by hitting certify, it allows the admin then to go in and edit the logs within the platform on their computers. They make the change, and then that change gets proposed to you under the notifications tab. And I'll show you what that looks like once we, in the driver's guide. So it's very important that even if you know the log is incorrect, in order for the admin to make the change, you do have to certify it. The admin will then make the change on the back end. It'll then get thrown back to you through the app, and then the app will ask you, do you accept or reject those changes? And I will show you that here in the logbook driver guide. So we kind of walked through a lot of this through the live version, but I wanted to show you let me blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it. So I apologize, it looks like my screen is not popped up. Bear with me a second. All right, so like I said, under the notifications tab, there was the warnings that I showed you in the live version. This is the driver guide that we're looking at here, and this is something that you guys are going to have to keep on you in the vehicles at all times. It is 8 pages, but we want to make sure you keep it. So that way it's a refresher, it's a quick reference sheet for you guys as to how to use the app, what certain things mean going forward. And so under here is we had the admin make the change to this particular person, Shweta, and I'll blow up the screen a little bit so you guys can see it. Shweta is our actually logbook ELD team lead. And in this example, she's our admin. So she proposed the change to Matt Stedman's driving status. And as you notice down here, there was a comment. She had to leave a comment as to why, there's a change, and it's forgot to sign off. So Matt forgot to sign off for, let's say, the weekend. So he had to go in and certify that day, even though he knew it was wrong. Shweta went back in and actually made the change. The change then gets thrown back to Matt, and he has the option to reject it or accept it. Now, as soon as you accept the change, you do have to go back into September 16th and recertify that day. So once you hit accept here, this number here will increase by 1. So it'll pop up under the uncertified logs. So you'll know that you'll have to certify that day. And you can do that pretty quickly by just using, that uncertified logs tab and then just tapping agree on those. Underneath here, you're going to see what we call miles assigned to you. This is important because let's say you get in your vehicle and you forget to log in, you start driving your vehicle, right? Trying to get to a project site. Well, the office is going to get an alert that, hey, this vehicle is moving. It's an ELD vehicle. We got to make sure that mileage and that drive time is assigned to somebody. They're going to get a warning in the back office called unidentified miles. They're going to be able to assign those miles to you and the drive time so that once you hit accept, your logs will update automatically. And if it's a day that, let's say it was the day before, a couple days, where you certified the day already, if you hit accept and it's a day that was already certified, it's going to ask you, it's going to come up here as an uncertified logs page or day, and then you have to recertify that day. But that's important. So don't fret if you become disconnected from the tablet or phone becomes disconnected from the vehicle and you're driving. Obviously try to reconnect that as soon as possible. But don't worry because the system itself will be keeping track of the drive time and the locations. So we'll be able to assign those. Your admins will be able to assign those to you, hopefully in a timely fashion. So just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that, because that's another big change that we have versus the other, the AOBRD version. So we already went through the uncertified logs page. You guys saw that. The vehicle inspection is going to be the same as it was before, so that's why I didn't cover it in the app. I'm just trying to highlight the changes that are going to be different from one version to the other. The security, like I said, disabling the inspector mode, you're going to have to enter your password. If you're switching between a primary driver and a co-driver, if this is applicable to the company, then you would have to enter your password. Or if the app has been in the background for more than 30 minutes, you'll have to enter your password. So just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of it. I am going to go back to my, let's see. Okay, so I'm back on my phone. Excuse me. I am going to go over to what we call the More button or the hamburger button. I'm going to tap there because this is important. Just like it is in the AOBRD version, there is what we call the refresh configurations. So if there's any changes or days had to be recertified or anything like that, or the logs just don't seem to be updating properly, hit the refresh configuration button. And if you noticed I just hit it, it's going to push that information. It's going to push it and then make sure this, up through the cloud, back down into Reveal, vice versa, back into your device. What I also wanted to point out is here, you're going to have what we call send to support under the diagnostic files. Now this is important because let's say you're having an issue and you're having an issue with the device, it just doesn't seem to be working properly. Go ahead and you're going to call the 800 number that's specifically designed for the drivers. It's a 24/7 phone line that's on, it's on the copy of the driver guide here in the background. They're going to be on the phone with you. They're going to ask you to do two things. They're going to say, hey, what version of the app are you using? So what you're going to first do is say, they're going to ask you, hey, about, this about tab here. I'm going to go ahead and hit about, and it's going to show me what version I'm using. So this is I'm on the latest version here, but if you, let's say you're on 2.0.5 or whatever number it is, they're going to say, well, you know what, it looks like you're on the older version. There's been some fixes. Why don't you update the app? Try updating the app. So most of you should have your app set to auto update. If after you do that, you check everything's up to par and everything's good, you're still having an issue, they're going to ask you to hit this send to support button. And what that's going to do is send a diagnostic file to our support team, and that's also going to get it over to our development team. I'm not exactly sure what it all entails, but it's a lot of coding, and it's a little bit above my pay grade. So you hit that button, it's going to say, please only do so when instructed to do so. So I'm going to hit cancel, but in case you hit it accidentally, don't worry, you do have an option here to cancel it or upload. But they prefer that you, when you're on the phone with support, that you send it when you're on the phone with them, so it's time-stamped and they can track it accordingly. So those are going to be the primary changes from one app to the other. I hope everyone is comfortable doing this. If we do need to, any additional training, like I said, there is the ability. I'm going to just go back to my, if I can. This driver guide is going to be, like I said, I'm going to go back to 100% of this. You're going to get this driver guide. That's going to walk you through how to go through the app. So how to use it. Sorry, let me just get to the top so you can see it. So this version for Android and iOS, because the versions are almost identical. Like I said, you're going to have a walk step-by-step. It's going to show you a photo of what the app looks like in the App Store. And please keep in mind, when we do the conversion from the old AOBRD to the new ELD version, they are two separate apps. So you are going to have to deinstall the old app and then reinstall, or and then install the new app. And the reason why is because you can't have both apps on the phone at the same time, because they're going to fight over who's supposed to work. So it's very important is that, and we'll leave the instructions. We'll put the instructions out there in an email, that we deinstall the old app, we install the new app. You're going to use your same username and password to log into the new version, and your logs will be in there. So your information will still be in there because it's all cloud-based. So we're all keeping that information. So, but that is a primary rule. Make sure the app looks as this dark blue or dark navy app here. And if you have any other further questions, there is the 800 number that is posted at the bottom of the driver guide, and I'll just fly down there real quick. For 24/7 driver support, here's this number here. So I would recommend in your cell phones, maybe save this as, Fleetmatics ELD support or whatever. That way it's a quick reference guide if you need to call it. Now it is going to be only for the app, so mobile application support. They're not going to be able to, do much as far as equipment-wise, but they will be able to they have steps to troubleshooting steps to walk you through on how to try and solve the issue that you're having. We do also have what we call our, excuse me a second. We also have, what we call our troubleshooting guide. So if you guys are having any type of connection issues, and let's say you do not want to call the 24/7 helpline. Let's say it's you had a hold time before, it was too long. Here's going to be what we call the troubleshooting guide, and I would recommend keeping this in the vehicle as well. So this is just going to say, walk you through on some troubleshooting steps on how to fix maybe an issue that, doesn't require a phone number or a phone call into the support line. Maybe save yourself some time. So, like I said, it's just going to walk you through a couple different things, whether it's Android or iOS. But if you're having connection issues, it'll help walk you through it. The latest app release should have resolved any connection issues. So, but if you still are having any type of connection issues with your device and the vehicle, this is a good guide to have with you in the vehicle, so that way we can make sure that we get the right information, you have the right information in front of you without maybe spending 5-10 minutes on a phone call with support. If you have any other further questions, please feel free to reach out to Gerald. reach out to Bernard Long, your customer success manager, or you can reach out to myself, Tim Stratton. I sit right next to Bernard in our office here in Chicago, so I'd be more than happy to help you walk you through this. Or like I said, you can call the 800 number at the bottom of the driver guide, and our support team there will be able to help you. So with that being said, I appreciate everyone's time today, and be safe out there.